Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. Happy New Year. If you are listening to this podcast, when it first aired, it is the beginning of 2025. And we just want to wish you, first of all, a very happy new year. And also, with anytime there is something new inside of our lives, it just brings on such an amazing opportunity. And so today, we want to talk about, how growth doesn't just happen by chance, it happens by intention. And, when we set up our new year growth sessions to really set our team up for success, everybody wins on the other side.
Yeah, I love that. And if you're thinking, what is a grow session? So, a grow session is going to be an opportunity for maybe in the new year for you as a salon owner to meet with each person on your team so that you can kind of look at, hey, what are opportunities like Lindsay was saying? And, where are possibilities and what can we lock in to help you become the most beautiful version of yourself this year? So, what we recommend is that you do grow sessions monthly with each team member. And maybe it's not you doing, maybe it's leaders or managers doing them. But at the beginning of the year, we like to dedicate just a little bit more time to really help paint the picture of what the new year can bring.
Yes, from just prepping for the sessions to doing some year end reviews, some goal setting, all of that good stuff. We know when you marry some amazing things together to kick off the year, it really can set everybody up to win big. And so, we just want to invite you to stay tuned till the end because we want to really unlock how you can take the first step toward financial freedom with your team and really paint the picture for what does that look like for them. So first things first, let's dive in. Let's talk about, step number one, which is that pre-session prep. So what do you need to prepare in order to set yourself and your service providers up for success? So, the first thing that you're going to want to do in order to get ready for these amazing growth sessions is to really gather up all of the materials that you'll need. So, what we like to do is go through and really prepare, a year-end review, that includes like what are their sales, what, so that you can really dive into what story their number is telling, things like their retail, their services, their client retention rates, and then really, send out to them beforehand. We like to have them just come with one personal goal. During that meeting, we come up with a professional goal. So send out something, a list of what you want them to come to that growth session with. And, keep in mind, the last thing that you want to do is overwhelm somebody when you're about to step into a growth session. And so what we know is the more tasks and the more chaos that you create in somebody's life, the less likely they are to actually win big. And really, there might be like 25 things that you want to accomplish this year, but when you write them all down, there's always one thing that stands out on that page. And hey, if you unlocked that one thing, it would actually probably unlock several other things on that list. But what it would really do is unlock a bigger version of you so that you were able to accomplish things better, easier, faster. And so, really just setting your team up to come with that goal, and just have everything ready that they would need in order to succeed during that growth session.
I love that. Love some pre-prep sessions, getting that ready. And then, when you're during the growth session, one thing that we like to do to make sure as well is like, we're going to do these growth sessions with velvet gloves. And so like, if you've ever had some velvet gloves, they're soft, they're luxurious. So, translating that into a growth session is like, we want to do growth sessions with love, not by means of a hammer. So this is not the time to, I'm sure no one on this call has ever done that, but this is not the time to beat someone over the head about what they didn't do. It's really to be able to create that space of what can be. And so once you've kind of done that pre-session prep and you've gotten a team member in on a growth session, we're going to really first talk about, this is going to be a new opportunity for you to being able to release some things so that then we can rise to the occasion. Because a lot of times, like Lindsay was saying, well, people will do like, 4 or 5 goals. They'll feel overwhelmed, and at the end of the year, wonder why they never reach those goals. And what we don't understand is that a lot of times people live in guilt. Guilt is actually the number one reason why most people don't get what they want out of life. And you're like, okay, what do you mean by that, Jen? And so, if you know the definition of guilt, it's a painful emotion experienced when one believes one actions or thoughts have violated a moral or personal standard. And so guilt is also the thought that I've done something wrong and I should be punished for it. And so, like, it's great to kind of share this with your team members, is like, think of it like climbing a ladder. Like, if you're at the bottom of the ladder, but at the top of the ladder is the desires that you want for your life. When you live in guilt, you're not even able to take that first step. And so, what you're going to be able to do is create that environment for them where they're going to be able to release some of that guilt, and then, make a room for what they really want to create for the new year. We do this exercise. It's really easy. You can, let them know that, help them understand what guilt is and how releasing guilt can set them up for success for the new year. And you can do this several ways by, writing it on a piece of paper and burning it. You can have them write it on water dissolvable paper. I know Lindsay and I have both done that. And so just letting them know, like, hey, we're going to do it a little different today. We're going to kind of release some things so that then we can rise. And also to let them know that it's a very safe space. Like, whatever they write down, only their eyes will view it. You will never see it because you're going to burn it or dissolve it or whatever it may be. So it's just going to be a time for them to release anything that could be holding them back. And the most powerful part of that is they don't even usually realize what's holding them back is actually what's holding them back.
Yes, I think it is such a powerful tool. And, I would just keep in mind, don't set up that you're going to be doing this before somebody comes in. This is just, a little exercise that you can do before you begin. Like Jen mentioned, all the key steps to setting it up, but really just creating that environment where they know, hey, this is a safe space. And, encourage them to say, it doesn't matter, like, if because sometimes people even do stuff inside of our spaces that they feel guilty about, that they need the opportunity to release so that they can decide, like, hey, that's not going to be who I am. They know it was wrong inside of them, but then just giving them the opportunity to release that, it truly can raise them up so much higher on the scale of emotions to where they can actually create it. Because what we know is if somebody doesn't actually believe that they deserve something, they will never get it. And so guilt is like Jen mentioned, the number one reason that stops people from getting more of what they want in life. So once they have released that and moved it aside, the next step then would be to go through a year-end review with your service providers, and so we like to go through our calculator that really dives into, like, how much was their take-home pay, how much did we add back with all of the amazing things that we offer inside the salon. And keep in mind, like, as a team-based salon that is legally paying people, you're matching their taxes, you're paying for workman's comp and unemployment insurance, you're offering a front desk service. I think in a world where there's so many options, like, sometimes people don't see the full value of what it is when they work together on a team. And what we know is that it's almost impossible for somebody to make more money. We know that they can't make more money working any less hours than they can inside of the companies that we work with and operate, mostly just because of how many people are focused on growing people and transforming people's lives. And so when you acknowledge what all it takes and how much money we're actually putting into people, you might see somebody's pay go from, I'm just pulling these numbers out, but I've seen similar ones on my team. You might see somebody's pay go from 75,000 to 92,000. And what that is hourly. Then when they see hourly, I've seen people's hourly pay at $65. I've seen it, at $45. I've seen it at $77. And it's just really cool to see, because they're like, wow. And then, just even asking them, like, hey, where else could you earn $77 an hour? And,
Mhm.
for them to be like, I can't think of anywhere, and it really is just powerful when you go through that year in review and uncover what it is that they accomplished, and also celebrate their wins. Like, so having them come up with some of their wins, you'll obviously be able to spot some of their wins when you go through that year in review. It really does help them start to see, okay, we release that guilt. Now we see what all we did. And then it just really helps set up the stage for what's next.
Yeah, I love that. And once celebrated the wins, you've looked at the year in review, and then we can invite you to go through a little bit of a goal setting process. Now, one thing, like Lindsay was saying earlier, is just to keep everything simple, superstar. There's no need to have to be focused on so many things, because like if you just pick one thing to focus on a day, it's like an apple a day keeps the doctor away. If you focus on that one thing, everything else around you will transform as well. And so, like, helping them with that personal goal, whatever they come with, kind of breaking it down and making it a SMART goal. A SMART goal is going to be specific, it's going to be more measurable, make sure it's achievable, reachable, and then a time limit. And so when we look at that, we're going to help them kind of dissect it and break it down just a little bit. And then you want to let them look at a professional goal. And so I know I used to do this. I'd be like, okay, let's increase your average ticket. Let's increase your pre-book. Let's increase your retail to service. And like,
Mhm.
those are great. Those need to happen, but it comes from a place of overwhelm, I think, for a service provider and employee. And so I think, just focusing on the one thing, because like for one thing, big for a salon I've been working with is new guest retention. And so like helping her to understand, like if she took her new guest retention from 30% to 38%, the additional revenue it would create. And that new guest retention, like everything tells a story, but that new guest retention tells you a lot about what's missing from the guest experience or the client experience. And so like just nailing in and focusing on one thing helps to simplify the process for somebody on your team. And so just picking like one personal, one professional, and then helping breaking them down and extracting those numbers of, hey, if they did this, what their life would be like, how life would be different for them.
So good. We just had somebody on one of our study halls last week that's inside of the PhD program that was talking about like how many light bulb moments their team had when they went through. We've got a calculator for people inside of that program that shows them. But, really, you could even just say like, hey, like do the math. It's really simple. If they're seeing, if you're giving them 10 new guests a month and they're only keeping 3 out of those 10, what's your average ticket for, that one person? How much extra would that be per year? It's incredible the growth that you can have when you focus on that. So I love that you said keep it simple, focus on the most important thing. Then once you've dived in and you've set those goals, really identifying the training and development that you want to see happen over the next year, I think is great, because a lot of times I think this can be a confusing area, because especially, I mean, social media like gives us so many ideas, and sometimes they're great ideas and sometimes they're ideas that aren't always as helpful to us, and so a team member might get on there and think, well, this is what I want to do. But you can break down, when you're able to then break down the why behind, why do you want to do that? And they're like, well, I'm bad at this. Okay, well, um, I mean, that's great. Like, I want you to, have the confidence to feel like, you're good at everything, but like, you're also great at this. And so like, you spend a lot of your time on this thing. So what if we made that even better if? So, instead of worrying about, the one or two random scenarios that you get each year, what if we took, you're already great at balayage, or you're already great at whatever, what if we made that even better? Because like, that's where a lot of your money and your income is coming in right now. So if we focused on making your strengths even stronger, I
Mhm.
think that it's just a really encouraging way to see things. And what it reminds me of is like, if let's say Serena Williams, was playing tennis, and she was like, I'm really bad at, like, she's an athlete, she identifies as an athlete, but she's like, I'm really bad at basketball. Well, okay, sure, there's probably some things that she could take away from basketball that would honestly help her tennis game. But if she focused on, her serves, or if she focused on, whatever it is, like inside of the game of tennis, like that would actually be more impactful. So same thing
Mhm.
happens for people on our team. They're like, you know, they might be doing one or two extension guests and they're like, I need to learn a whole new method on extensions. Well, how about you practice getting really good at the method that you know right now and focus
Mhm.
on really improving your guest experience with the guests that you have right now? Because, you know, I can guarantee you that this one method is probably not going to unlock, you know, what it is. It's probably the repetitions that need to be put in. So, really focusing on what actually matters during that training and development and helping uncover the why behind why they want to do it. And then helping them paint that path to, okay, what does it look like in order for me to get where I want to go.
Love that. Another opportunity to look at during a New Year growth session is just timing and financial impact. We at the end of the day we do sell time, and so surprise if you didn't know that. And so the most beautiful part about that too is, like, especially a lot of times we've noticed this in my company as well, is like people will extend times. Like, we do have service standards, so like let's just say a haircut is 45 minutes, but people are extending it to 60 minutes, but the client is paying for that 45-minute time slot. And that's how we do all of our pricing, is based on the time that it takes to do a service. And so, like, looking at the appointment book with the service provider and saying, okay, let's just see if you're living within service standards. And let's say Jen, for example, like, we're looking at a stylist, her name is Jen. And it's like, okay, well, I see that like our service standard for a 2 ounce highlight is 60 minutes, but I see she's a level 3 and she's taken 90 minutes. And so that's 30 minutes. That's a gift. This is a huge gift. That's 30 minutes that we need to give her some new tools on how to speed that up. And it's about speeding that up in ways that, clients don't want to be there all day, and it gives you the opportunity to serve more people. And because we do sell time, you want to make sure that you're living in those service standards. And so, like, I did this exercise, and I can't remember exactly. I think it was 30 minutes on a certain highlight that somebody was doing, and it equaled out to about $37,000 for the year, based upon the highlights that she was doing. And so, like, let's talk about your application. Let's talk about getting that repetition in. Let's talk about your consultation. Let's talk about how we can make this process more efficient. Because if you feel like you're slow, the guest or the client probably feels like you're slow too. So it's all about, creating that great client experience, and seeing the impact that if we don't stay within those service times, like, it really can financially impact us.
Yeah, I love that. Is amazing when you really dial in on the impact that timing has on their take home pay. You know, I know another thing that Jen, you and I are both super passionate about, and every one of our salon owners inside of, salon business school and the PhD program is really creating millionaires inside of our industry. And I think, during that New Year growth session is one of the most important times to dive into what does financial freedom look like for stylists and how can we help create them. So whether you are in a position financially as a company to be able to offer, a simple IRA or a retirement plan of any kind, or, it's just a conversation that you can have with your team. Because, I remember way back in the day, I sold Cutco knives one summer, and that was the first time that anybody had ever talked to me about retirement. And, I'll never forget that they talked about, like, starting at 25 versus 35, how you could have $1 million more just because of compound interest. And, compound interest is such a beautiful thing to be able to share with your team and really showing them, okay, this is how you could create potentially generational wealth even.
Mhm.
So this is going beyond just making you a millionaire. This is like, hey, you could even set your kids up to be millionaires too. And we actually want to give you a big gift. If you are listening today, if you want to go ahead and text retirement to 469 283 5590, we will send you over a retirement calculator that you can use with your team. And what's really cool is it's like a plug and play calculator where you can put their current age, when they want to retire, if they have any current savings, and then what they want to invest monthly. There, it'll give you some prompts for lots of different things, but it even talks about like what could be their expected yearly income at retirement or their expected monthly income at retirement. And just to be able to help have that conversation and paint that picture with somebody, just so you know too, like if somebody starts at 20 and they save $100 a month, by the time they're 65, they'll have over $1 million. But if they save $200 at 20 to 65, they'll have over $3 million. And so I don't know about you guys, but I know I see a lot of DoorDash coming in and out of the salon. And so, what that tells me is there's the opportunity for them to invest $100 to $200 a month, to really set themselves up for retirement, because if they retired at 65 with over $3 million, their yearly income would be over $100,000. And so that's just incredible to talk to a 20-year-old about, whose goal is to get to $100,000 as a service provider. Like, this is how we create millionaires. This is how we change our industry and make a big impact in the world.
I love what you said. This is how we create millionaires. This is how we change our industry. Because I promise you, not a lot of salon owners are having conversations like this. And I'm so passionate about this because when my grandmother retired from doing hair, she worked very hard, but she never set up a retirement plan. Thank goodness, I was able to purchase the business from her, and she owned some real estate where I rented from her. But at the end of the day, to work 30 or 40 years, and that's when most people can't retire, and I see that in our industry too, is because they cannot replace that income that they're getting. And so I like having these conversations with your team is going to put you top of mind for all people, because they're going to tell their friends, like, wow, did you know if I continue to work at salon ABC, I could have $3 million in retirement. And so I think it's just a beautiful conversation that's going to set you apart from other salons as well. And so after you think about the retirement planning, it's time to just kind of wrap it up and put a big bow on it. This is a beautiful time to, have them write any notes, write anything down that they're, want to be committed to, kind of review. And I always like to say, what are you most excited about? After everything we reviewed today, what are you most excited about? And then they can share. Another question you can ask is, what really stood out to you today? Or, just things like that, just to kind of put the period at the end of the sentence to kind of close everything. And I always like to just say, I'm proud of you, because sometimes you never realize, no one's ever heard someone else say to them, I'm proud of you, high five them, hug them, whatever you want to do, whatever fits you, is just to celebrate them. Because I think when you celebrate them, they're going to go out and do even bigger things.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great way to put a period on the end of it, And, just keep in mind, growth sessions aren't just about numbers. They're about building confidence, building clarity, and a path to success for each person inside of your team. And so, if you want to get that tool that we talked about earlier, text retirement to 469-283-5590, and really get started on your financial wellness journey today with your team, and helping to create more millionaires inside of our industry. And we can't wait to hear how successful your New Year growth sessions are with your entire team. So thanks for tuning in. We look forward to seeing